I'll never forget the first time I picked up Super C on the NES. I was just a kid, sitting cross-legged on the floor, the controller clutched tightly in both hands, staring at that flashing title screen. The Konami logo appeared, the music kicked in, and instantly I knew I was in for something intense. Back then, I didn't think about game design, difficulty curves, or what made a game timeless. All I knew was that I wanted to survive, to see how far I could get before my lives ran out. Even now, every time I play it, I get that same rush. There's something about that game that feels alive, that grips you from the first second and doesn't let go until the very last boss. Super C doesn't waste a moment. From the instant the first enemy appears, the screen is a battlefield. Bullets zip across in all directions, aliens charge at you, turrets spit fire. Everything forces you to react quickly. There's no warm-up, no time to adjust. This intensity is what made it memorable back then, and it's exactly why the game still holds up today. Even when you know the patterns, the adrenaline never fully fades. The gameplay itself is deceptively simple. You run, you shoot, you jump, grab power-ups, and keep moving forward. On the surface, it seems easy, just aim and fire. But the deeper you get, the more you realize how precise and deliberate the game demands you to be. Timing, positioning, and situational awareness are everything. Every stage, every enemy, and every boss teaches you to read the patterns, anticipate attacks, and act fast. Modern games often rely on stats, upgrades, or abilities to keep players engaged, but Super C challenges you purely through reflexes and skill. The reward comes not from leveling up a character or unlocking a new ability, but from improving yourself as a player. And there's something incredibly satisfying about that. One of the first things I notice when revisiting Super C is the weapon system. Picking up a spread shot, laser, or machine gun completely changes your approach to each stage. The spread shot lets you cover multiple angles and makes crowd control feel easier. The laser hits harder and can shred through tough enemies, giving a sense of empowerment. But the moment you take a hit and lose that weapon, the tension ramps up again. Every advantage in Super C is temporary, which makes you think twice about how you engage each section. You're constantly balancing risk and reward, and that's a core part of the thrill. Visually, Super C pushes the NES in ways that were impressive at the time. The sprites are large and expressive, the explosions feel impactful, and the enemies have distinct designs that make each one instantly recognizable. From the jungle hideouts to desert forts and high-tech alien bases, every environment feels distinct, yet cohesive. Even though it's 8-bit, the game communicates everything clearly. You know what's dangerous, what's a projectile, and what's a power-up. That clarity is crucial in a game this fast-paced, and it's something that modern gamers can still appreciate. It's proof that effective visual design isn't about resolution, it's about readability and style. Stage design is another area where Super C shines. The game isn't just a straight side-scroller, it introduces top-down sections that completely change the pace. Suddenly, the enemies are coming from multiple directions, and the screen feels more chaotic. You're dodging bullets while moving in tight corridors, adjusting your strategy mid-run. It's a brilliant way to break up repetition, keeping players on their toes while also forcing them to engage with the mechanics in a slightly different way. Even today, it feels dynamic and fresh. Boss fights are where Super C really leaves a mark. Each boss has its own attack patterns, movement quirks, and rhythm. Learning those patterns is essential. A small mistake can cost a life, but successfully navigating the fight gives a huge sense of accomplishment. And what's interesting is that these bosses aren't just bullet sponges, they're puzzles in motion. You have to read them, adapt to their attacks, and find the openings, all while keeping your positioning perfect. It's intense, but incredibly rewarding. Super C's difficulty is something modern players need to understand before diving in. This is a game that expects precision. Lives are limited, continues are finite, and checkpoints are scarce. Unlike many modern games that ease you in or give you multiple failsafes, Super C challenges you from the first moment. It's harsh, yes, but the difficulty is fair in the sense that it rewards skill and learning. Every death feels like a lesson, And that loop of learning, improving, and finally succeeding is incredibly satisfying. The frustration only makes victory feel that much sweeter. Playing solo is challenging enough, but adding co-op transforms the game entirely. Super C's two-player mode is chaotic in the best way. You've got two players running, shooting, and dodging together, creating moments of shared panic and triumph. One player might accidentally scroll the other into a hail of bullets, but that's part of the fun. The teamwork, coordination, and shared tension elevate the experience in ways solo play simply can't. It's why so many people remember playing this game with friends. It's not just the game itself, but the memories you create while playing it together. The soundtrack deserves special attention as well. From the moment the first notes kick in, the music sets the pace perfectly. It's upbeat, driving, and urgent, mirroring the action on screen. Even the sound effects are memorable. The blip of a gunshot, the explosion of a barrel, the electronic whir of alien tech. The audio design contributes to the sense of speed and intensity, keeping you engaged even when you're about to die for the 10th time in a row. From a modern perspective, Super C is short. A skilled player can complete it in under an hour, but length isn't the point. Its brilliance is in its replayability. Every run teaches you something new. Enemy patterns, better positioning, smarter weapon use. The challenge lies not in grinding or leveling up, but in refining your reflexes, mastering each stage, and improving as a player. That's a type of satisfaction that modern games rarely replicate in the same way. One thing that stands out in retrospect is how Super C balances chaos and clarity. Despite the overwhelming amount of action on screen, you always know where your character is, what threats are incoming, and what pickups are available. That's no small feat for an 8-bit game. Modern shooters can sometimes feel cluttered with effects and UI elements, but Super C shows that clarity can coexist with intense action. So, should you play NES Super C today? If you're a fan of retro games, high-intensity action, or classic run-and-gun shooters, the answer is absolutely yes. It's fast, challenging, and rewarding in ways that few games manage to replicate even decades later. It's a reminder of what games can do when they focus on skill, timing, and pacing, rather than cinematic spectacle. If you're a modern player who hasn't experienced the NES era, be prepared for a steep difficulty curve. Lives are limited, checkpoints are scarce, and the game doesn't hold your hand. But if you approach it with patience and an appreciation for tight, responsive gameplay, it can be incredibly enjoyable. The thrill of learning patterns, mastering weapons, and finally defeating a tough stage or boss is timeless. Super C isn't just a game, it's an experience. It captures the energy, intensity, and spirit of classic action gaming, while still offering enough depth to engage modern players. Whether you're reliving your childhood memories or discovering the series for the first time, it has a way of pulling you in and keeping you there until the final alien is defeated. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Super C, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment about which classic game you want me to revisit next. There are so many old-school gems waiting to be rediscovered, and Super C is a perfect example of why the classics still matter.